Welcome back. I want to start with a picture that may feel a little too familiar. You're staring at a blank page, cursor blinking, and you've got to write a policy for a company like yours, and you have no idea where to begin. If you've ever had that moment, this is exactly why the sample document library matters. It's built to take that awful, where do I even start feeling and replace it with something concrete. Inside the library, you'll find 35 professional CMMC compliant document examples. And these are not one size fits all samples. They're customized for 5 defense industries, so the language feels much closer to the way your company actually works. That's the key thing here. You're not opening a generic template and trying to force your business into it. You're looking at examples shaped for companies like yours, which makes it a whole lot easier to understand what good looks like. And honestly, sometimes that's half the battle. Now, the feature doing the heavy lifting here is the industry adapter. And I like this because it respects a simple truth. The same control can sound very different depending on the shop floor, the program office, or the kind of work your team does every day. The 5 supported sectors are machine shop, aerospace, electronics, naval or shipbuilding, and engineering. Same compliance goal, different language, that's important. Take a machine shop, for example. The adapted examples might use language tied to machine shop operations like Mastercam references. An aerospace company, though, sees different terminology and more like PLM references. Same control, different language. And that difference matters because people write better when they can recognize themselves in the document. If the sample sounds like your environment, you're not spending all your time mentally translating it into something usable. So these samples are not just legal documents sitting on a shelf. They're operational blueprints. They show how a compliant document can be written in terms your team can actually understand and use. That's a big deal because a policy nobody can follow is just, well, paper with ambition. Let me walk through the 7 essential documents in plain English because this is the core set you need to keep in view for a successful CMMC audit. First, the system security plan. This is the big picture document. It explains your environment, your systems, and how your security controls are put in place. Second, the access control policy. This spells out who gets access to what and under what conditions. Simple idea, but absolutely central. Third, the incident response plan. This is your what do we do when something goes wrong document. If there's a security event, this plan tells the organization how to respond. Fourth, the configuration management policy. This covers how systems are managed and controlled so changes don't create new problems. Fifth, the password policy. Pretty straightforward. It defines the rules around passwords and how they're handled. Sixth, the acceptable use policy. This lays out how users are expected to use company systems and technology. And seventh, the media protection policy. This addresses how media is protected, handled, and managed. Those 7 documents form the core, not the whole universe of compliance, no, but the must-have set you want in place and well understood if you're working toward a successful CMMC audit. So, what do you actually do once you're in the library? First, select an industry using the tabs at the top. That's how you get to examples that are aligned with your sector instead of reading through material that doesn't sound like your world. From there, use the preview button. This is where you can study the example documents, see how they're written, and get a feel for what auditors are expecting. And I do mean study them. Look at the structure, the language, the level of detail. That's where the learning happens. Then, when you find one that's close to what you need, use the use as starting point shortcut. That's the handoff moment. It loads that template into the document generator so you can customize it for your company. So you're not copying blind and you're not starting from zero either. You're taking a professional example, moving it into the generator, and shaping it into an official document that fits your organization. That's a much better workflow than wrestling with a blank page at 10:30 at night, asking yourself why you ever opened a laptop. As we know, that's really the heart of it. Don't reinvent the wheel. You don't get extra credit for suffering through writer's block when solid examples are already sitting there, ready to help. These examples are designed to replace that blank page paralysis and help you move more directly toward approved status. That's the win. Less guessing, less stalling, more progress. So browse the library, look at the examples for your industry, and turn those examples into official company policies. Thanks for listening, and I'll leave you with this. Sometimes the fastest path to a strong document is simply starting with one that's already pointing in the right direction.